was watching a soap on BBC the other day and I was flabbergasted that this was based on a true story. Then it got me thinking of all the true crime and horror flicks that have been stranger than fiction in TV and film. What is true and what is exaggerated? Today we explore films and TV series that are based around stories from horror to crime. I will discuss the comparisons with a array of clips and examples to show fiction versus the facts. Hello creatives, my name is Natalie Edward D'Souza. I'm a creative entrepreneur, actor and producer, and I'm also the founder of multi-award nominated Transition Stage Company, a film production and event company. And we have script writing competitions and galas and stage writing amplified. And this video is sponsored by Bootcamp Media. Bootcamp Media is a multi-award winning iSearch and digital marketing agency helping SME clients achieve success online. The team at Bootcamp Media can fill in any gaps in digital marketing strategy from SEO and social media marketing. First off is horror. This example is crazy, and although some of you may have heard the real story about this, if not, you'll be shocked. Conjuring, 2016, directed by James Wan. The film centres around the Hodgson family in their London home in a suburb of Enfield. Set in 1977, the family had reported paranormal activity within their home, resulting in deciding to move in with their neighbours. However, when the media came to interview the family about their paranormal sightings, 11-year-old Janet is possessed by some spirit of an elderly man, Bill Wilkins, who is revealed to have lived and died in the house. Here is a preview of the haunting scene.
Janet, are you all right? Janet?
My name is Bill Wilkins, and I'm 72 years old.
Where do you come from?
I come from the grave.
However, this story is actually entirely based on a true story. In 1977, Peggy lived in Enfield with her 4 children when peculiar occurrences began to happen within the family home. The case involved strange voices, levitation, flying objects, furniture being moved around the air, cold breezes and more. And while some others call it a hoax, others consider it to be one of the most witnessed cases of supernatural activity to date. Police and paranormal specialists recall seeing this instance within the house, with specialists such as speech and language therapists being absolutely startled at the voice of an elderly man coming out at an 11-year-old girl, claiming it was impossible. Creepy. At one point, Janet, possessed by Bill Wilkins, stated, "Just before I died, I went blind and had a hemorrhage and went to sleep."
I went blind and had an hemorrhage, and I fell asleep and I died in a chair in the corner.
Bill Wilkins' son confirmed that this is how his father died, and people did not understand how 11-year-old Janet knew this information, or moreover, how she was able to relay this information in Bill's voice. Janet states, "It felt like he was behind me, not within me." I'm getting chills. Through this old footage, you are able to see the comparison between the movie scene and the real 11-year-old Janet.
One of the first manifestations was when Lego bricks began to fly at high speed around the living room.
How does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted. Shut up.
Why isn't it haunted?
I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it. And you learn to accept the things that happen. It slung covered at Mum, my idiot Mum. Slung a bookshelf at my ear.
Have you tried telling it to go away?
Yes, many times.
No, I said nothing.
And what does it reply?
No, it won't. It's staying another 6-7 years.
The local police could find no explanation for the knocking either. They were even more baffled when 2 of their beat constables reported seeing an armchair levitate across the Hodgsons' living room.
It came off the floor, or maybe a half inch, I should say,
and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest.
It is undeniable that James Wan did an excellent job bringing that story to light. He used a lack of real CGI while filming, making it as authentic as he can, claiming I only bring CGI when I need to. He owns a lot of his success to the writers who worked tirelessly at researching the story and having in-depth conversations with actors and the real people involved. The real people who were played within this film have also come forward sharing experiences, discussing how the elements in this film were really replicated and told the truth. This is Lorraine Warren, the real paranormal professional, in the case interview.
I would be terrified to revisit this story. I mean, you deal with this every day. How do you feel about kind of revisiting it? Is it just old hat for you?
No, it's never. If you're dealing with something that's preternatural, it's not every day. No, and it is frightening. I mean, remember, the inhuman is very, very difficult to deal with, and it's so cunning, you know. And but the human spirit, you can communicate, you can talk, you can help. But the inhuman.
Wow.
I know people say, and I don't care what they say, it wasn't them, it was me. I know what happened, and I know it was real. How would they like it if this happened to them, and they would be being called a fake or whatever? I don't care what they think. I know what happened, and I know it was real.
Next up is Zodiac, 2007 thriller, crime directed by David Fincher. The film is centered around a Zodiac killer, prominent in North Carolina through the 1960s and 1970s. Fact, the 5 alleged Zodiac victims are Betty Lou Jensen, David Faraday, Darlene Ferring, and Cecilia Ann Shepard and Paul Lee. 4 victims were shot and 1 stabbed. However, it's alleged that the Zodiac killer had many more victims. The 2007 film focuses around the work of Robert Grayson, who is played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Grayson was a political cartoonist of the San Francisco Chronicle who became obsessed with the crime case and tried himself to solve it. In these days, he is a full-time crime writer. The movie presents the themes from the Unsolved movie and presents the frustrations of everyone trying to crack the case as they gained more cryptic messages from the killer.
We first saw the first victim, the male, who was lying outside of the passenger door of the vehicle. It appeared that he had a gunshot wound above the left ear. He appeared, or was actually breathing. It was a fairly cold night. It was late on a December night, and you could actually see his breath. I think that was just because his respiratory system was still intact to some extent.
Finally, a heartbreaking example of productions based in true crime is a 2019 Netflix series, When They See Us, directed by Ava DuVernay. The story follows the Central Park 5, Kevin Richardson, Raymond Santana, Yusef Salem, and Corey Wise, who are wrongly convicted of raping and beating a woman. The series follows the incident and reenacts events representing the corruption within the police force, who beat them and mistreated them in order to gain a confession for the crime.
Is my mom here?
It's just us. You and us. Who you were in the park with?
I don't know names. I just got lost.
Where did you see the lady?
One lady.
The female jogger was severely beaten and raped.
Salen said I would hear them beating up Corey Wise in the next room. They would come in and look at me and say, "You're next." The series highlights extreme corruption in America and the racism the boys underwent. The show highlights the failed justice system and was heartbreaking to watch, especially when considering what these real-life men went through.
I'd like to ask you some questions about a series of things that happened in Central Park on the night of April 19th of 1989.
Don't you want to go home? That's all I want. That's all I want. We can fix this. Let's get you out of trouble, son.
I felt bad. This is my This is my first extreme I did to any kind of female.
Finally, a recent example of a production based around a true story is the series The Serpent 2021. Set in the mid-1970s, the story follows Charles Sarbraj, a French serial killer of Indian and Vietnamese descent, as he drugs and robs travelers, particularly young backpackers traveling through Bangkok and Thailand.
It's a good life that I provide here. I have been good to you. And you understand why it's hard for me to accept that you just want to leave.
The BBC drama, which is also streamed on Netflix, reveals the story of Charles Sarbraj's journey from petty crime to cold-blooded murderer. Charles Sarbraj was once asked what makes someone a murderer, and he states either they have too much feeling and cannot control themselves, or he said they have no feelings. It's either one of the two. In this series adaptation, Tara Rahim plays Charles in an 8-episode drama presenting the real-life story of the murderer, thief, and his seductive master of disguise. Let me know if you found this video interesting. Maybe do some follow-up videos of examples of real stories which were adapted into productions. Either way, remember to subscribe if you enjoy my content and tell me what you think in the comments. Head over to my website, Transition Stage Company, and sign up to our main list for courses, script competitions, enter stage right, and also join our Facebook group community, which is in the captions, and drop us an email to see how we can work together. I will see you next week. Stay curious.